All right, Sports Nation. Still feeling a little under the weather, having some dizzy spells, making me nauseated, but wanted to get this one in today because obviously the NBA championship starts tonight, but I'll get caught up on everything else, game recaps and all that next week. But anyways, I am filming this on Wednesday, June 3rd at 12:15. That way if I don't get posted to Facebook and Clapper and YouTube till after the game starts for some reason, you guys know I got this in before the NBA championship started. So this is going to be my NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals prediction review and 2025-2026 NBA championship predictions. So coming into this round for my series game predictions, I was sitting at 1-5 in the East. And so coming into this round for my series game predictions, I was sitting at 1-5 in the East and 2-4 in the West for a total of 3-9. And for my winning team predictions, I was sitting at 4-2 in the East and 5-1 in the West. So let's get into them series game predictions. So in this round, I had the Knicks and Cavs series in the East going 6 games. It did not go 6. The Knicks swept that series, so it only went 4. So I went 0-1 in the East this round for my series game predictions. And in the West, I did have the Thunder and Spurs series going 7. And that series did go, and the Thunder and Spurs series did go 7. Obviously, I got the winner wrong, but I got the series game prediction right. So now with that being said, that is going to, since we're done with the Eastern and Western Conference part of the NBA playoffs here, because it's East versus West now, that means we are going to finish, in the East, we are going to finish with a record of 3. In the East for the 2026 NBA playoffs, in the East for the 2026 NBA playoffs, we are going to finish with a record of 1-6 for my series game predictions. And in the West for the 2026 NBA playoffs, we are going to finish with a record of 3-4 through 7 games for my series game predictions, bringing my overall record, obviously, to 4-10 going into the NBA championship for the entire playoffs between the East and West for the entire playoffs. So there. Now with my winning team predictions, so yeah, 4-10 overall for the entire playoffs for series game predictions. Now, going into the NBA championship. So 4-10 overall going into the NBA championship for my series game predictions. So now, as far as my winning team predictions, like I said, in the East going into this round, I was 4-2, and in the West, I was 5-1. Obviously, in the East this round, I did have the Knicks winning, advancing to the NBA championship, and the Knicks did win. So I went 1-0 in the East in this round. And in the West, I had the Thunder advancing over the Spurs to go to the NBA championship, but it was the Spurs who won that series, so I went 0-1 in the West. So 1-0 in the East, 1-0 in the East, 0-1 in the West this round for my winning team predictions. So since we are done, like I said, with the East and Western part of the playoffs for the NBA playoffs for 2026, that is going to mean that for the 2026 NBA playoffs, I'm going to finish with a record of 5-2 in the East for my winning team predictions, and I'm going to finish with a record of 5-2 in the West for the 2026 playoffs for my winning team predictions, bringing my total to 10 wins, 4 losses overall for the entire playoffs. And then if you add in which I do, you add in the NBA playing games. You know what that is, where you get the last couple teams from each conference trying to get into the playoffs. I went 2-4 in the NBA play-in this year. So you add that to my total for the playoffs. That puts us at 12 wins overall, including the play-in games. And it puts, including the play-in, including the NBA play-in for 2026, that now puts our overall record for the whole entire playoffs, including the play-in, at 12-8 overall. So to recap, for series game predictions, in the East we're gonna finish at 1-6. In the West, we're gonna finish at 3-4 for series game predictions for the 2026 NBA playoffs. And overall, going into the NBA championship, we are sitting at 4-10 overall for my series game predictions. And then as far as winning team predictions, obviously, to recap, we're going to finish at 5-2 in the East, 5-2 in the West, through 7 games for the 2026 NBA playoffs. And overall, that puts us at 10-4 for the NBA playoffs for 2026, going into the NBA championship. So yeah, 10-4 overall going into the NBA championship for the 2026 NBA playoffs. And including the play-in tournament for 2026, I am sitting at 12-8 overall. So now y'all know last year was my first year doing this round by round, basically, because prior years I just predicted the whole playoffs and did horrible. So comparing to last year for the NBA playoffs, I went 4-3 in the East, 3-4 in the West. So last year in the NBA playoffs for 2026, I got a total of 5 right for the series game predictions, because I predicted the NBA championship wrong, because I had 5 going into the NBA championship, and I did very horrible there, because I picked it to go 6 and it only went 7. I picked it to go 6. Like last year, I picked the NBA championship to go 6 and it went 7, so I got that wrong last year. But yeah, so in the East last year for series game predictions, I had 3 right, and for the West, I had 2 right for a total of 5 going to the NBA championship. And overall, I went obviously 5-10 through 15 games. So looking at this year, obviously I did one game worse in the East this year for my series game predictions, and I did one game better in I did one game worse in the East this year for my series game predictions, and 1 game better in the West for my series game predictions this year. And as far as my winning team and overall, obviously I have a chance to tie what I did last year if I get the NBA championship right. But yeah, worse overall last year so far. Worse overall this year for series game predictions than I did last year. So for winning team predictions, obviously last year in the East I went 4-3, West I went 3-4. This year I went 5-2 in the East, 5-2 in the West for winning team predictions. So obviously last year I went from 4 in the East last year to 5 in the East this year. I went from 3 in the West last year to 5 in the West this year. So which means I did 1 better in the East this year and 2 better in the West this year for my winning team predictions. And overall last year, obviously going into the NBA championship, I was 7-7. I did pick the winner right, so I went 8-7 overall. And right now I'm sitting at 10-4. So I'm already 2 better overall than I was last year. So winning team predictions and overall predictions for the winning teams, I've already done better than I did last year. So now, with that being said, let's get into the NBA championship here. Congratulations to the San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks on making this year's 2025-2026 NBA championship, which means we are going to have a new champion this year. If anybody knows me, before I do my picture, I'm a sucker for a team that's only like won one in any sport. I'm a sucker for a team that's only won 1 championship. I'm a sucker for a team that's only won 1 to like 2 or 3 championships. I'm also a sucker for a team that hasn't won a championship in 10 plus years. And I'm also a sucker for teams that haven't won like in 20 years or more. And teams that haven't won, and also sucker for teams that haven't won recently. So looking at this, on the East side of things, we got the Knicks. This will be, including this will be their 9th appearance in the NBA championship. And the Spurs, this will be their 7th appearance in the NBA championship. Now the Spurs have won 5 championships, and the Knicks have won 2. Now the most recent NBA championship appearance for the Spurs was also their most recent NBA championship. That was in 2014. So it has been 12 years since the Spurs have won an NBA championship. And for the Knicks, their last championship appearance was in 1999, which is 27 years ago. And they lost that NBA championship. And coincidentally, they played the team they're playing this time, the San Antonio Spurs. They lost to the Spurs in that title game. And it's been since 1973 since the Knicks have won a title, so 53 years. So I'm going to be repping the Knicks here. But anyways, as far as my prediction goes, I'm going to go with the San Antonio Spurs to beat the New York Knicks for the 2025-2026 NBA championship. And I'm going to go with the Spurs to win that championship in 7 games. Going with the Spurs in 7, but be rooting for the Knicks. Y'all have a great day.